Right. Hello everyone. Good evening. My name's Nicole and welcome back to our English class. Welcome to our session today. It's so good to see you all here ready to learn and improve your English skills. I hope you all had a fantastic weekend and are feeling refreshed for another week of exciting sessions. Okay? Looking at our screen, we can see the words practice time in big, bold red letters, and just below it is intonation. This tells us exactly what we will be focusing today. Remember last week, if you're with me, we spent quite a bit of time exploring intonation, right? Which is all about, we understand that it's all about the rise and fall of our voices when we speak. It's like it's like the music of language, and it's super important because it helps us express our feelings and convey our meaning clearly. We even had our first practice session on Friday, right? We ended our meeting, or we ended our week last week with a practice, which is, yeah, for our last meeting. So which I hoped from the last meeting, which I hope it helped solidify some of the concepts that we've discussed. Today, we are going to dive even deeper into intonation. We'll have another chance to practice, to really get comfortable with those ups and downs in our speech. Think of it like this: when you're learning a new song, you don't just listen to it once, right? You listen again and again, and you practice singing or playing it until you get it just right. It's the same with intonation. The more we practice, the more natural it becomes, and the more confident you will feel when you're speaking English. Sorry for that. Now, of course, we are going to have our practice time. Okay, I'm excited to see all your progress, and of course, I'm here to help you every step of the way. Let's make this a productive and enjoyable session. Feel free to type in the chat if you have any questions as we go along. Okay, all right, let's move on. Okay. For our focus in our practice time today, in today's session, it will be on intonation dialogue practice. This tells us a bit more specifically what kind of practice we will be doing today. Now, excuse me, do you remember what a dialogue is? Do you, everyone? Do you remember what a dialogue is? Right, we understand it, right? As you can think about it for a moment, no? What's a dialogue? But just a quick refreshment, a recapitulation, a review basically. A dialogue is simply a conversation between two or more people. That's a dialogue. It is how we communicate every day. When we talk to a friend, when we order food, when we I am so sorry for that. Excuse me for a moment. Again, we do dialogues, not just simply talking to another person. It could be one or more person. You can talk to your friend, your family, or you talk to stranger, or when you order food, when you even ask for directions, you can do that. That's already a form of dialogue. So instead of just practicing individual sentences today, we are going to put our intonation skills to use in a more natural conversational setting, because last time, right, we are just identifying if the sentence is um applying a rising, falling, rise, fall, or fall, rise intonation pattern. So today's session, we are going to make it more complex, as we are going to use it in a conversational setting. This means we will be looking at how intonation works when people are talking back and forth to each other. So, of course, that's that. Now, you might wonder, right? You might wonder, I'm sorry. Okay, for a moment, because the screen lost. Okay. Now, you might wonder, why is practicing intonation in dialogue so important? Well, in real conversations, everyone, our voices naturally go up and down to show different things, right? For example, Our voice usually rises at the end of a question, making it clear we are asking for information. So it often falls at the end of a statement, which indicates that we have finished our thought. We also use intonation to show surprise, to show agreement, disagreement, or even boredom. All these subtle changes in our voice helps the other person understand not just our words, but also our feelings and intention. By practicing with dialogues, we'll get a bit better feel for how these patterns naturally occur in spoken English. It's one thing to understand the rules, but it's another to actually use them in a dynamic or, different conversations. This type of practice, it will help you to sound more natural and confident when you speak English, and it will also help you better understand what others are saying to you, especially when they are, expressing emotions or question. So get ready to read through some conversation. We'll be focusing on how the speaker's voices might rise and fall and what that tells us about what they're saying and feeling. Okay, this will be a great opportunity to really put everything we have learned about intonation into action. All right, keep an eye on the chat as well, as I might be asking for your thoughts and observations as we go through these dialogues. Let's make our English sound more musical and meaningful. Okay, all right, let's have the first conversation, which is about meeting plans. You'll see a dialogue between person A and person B. Next to each line, there's a blank space in parentheses. This is where we will think about the intonation for each sentence. Now, remember what we've discussed about intonation? It's the music of language. It's how our voices rise and fall. It helps us show if we are asking a question, if we are making a statement, or even expressing an emotion like surprise or uncertainty. So let's read through the dialogue in the first situation. Now let's read the dialogue first, just to get the general idea. Okay. Hey, are you coming to the meeting later? I'm not sure yet. Why not? I might have another appointment. Oh, well, let's just let me know. Okay, thanks. Again, hey, are you coming to the meeting later? I'm not sure yet. Why not? I might have another appointment. Oh, well, let me just know. Okay, thanks. Okay. Now, as you go through each line, I want you to think about how your voice would sound if you were saying these words naturally. Would your voice go up at the end? Would it go down? Or would it even stay flat? And what would that tell the other person? Okay? All right. I am so sorry if there are times that you know, I might randomly pause and cover my face. It's just that I had to. No, I hope for your considerations. I hope for your understanding all throughout. Okay. All right. Now here, A, first person A says, "Hey, are you coming to the meeting later?" So we're going to highlight on meeting here. The highlighted word is meeting. Or let me just use the color for better highlight. For a moment, because it's not working, it's not highlighting. But yes, we are highlighting. Okay, good. We are highlighting on the meeting here, the word meeting. Now here, the word meeting is highlighted, and it says that it says something. It's, implying something. So what do you think is the intonation pattern used here when we try to highlight meeting? Like, I'll say this sentence again. Hey, are you coming to the meeting later? Hey, are you coming to the meeting later? What do you think is the intonation pattern used in the sentence? What do you think, everyone? This is This is a rising intonation. So it uses what? A rising intonation. So let me just, you know, put the answer here for you to be guided. This is a rising intonation. This confirms what we've discussed earlier when we ask a yes or no question, which is a question that can be answered with a simple yes or no. Basically, our voice typically rises at the end. If we do, if you listener that I'm asking for information with a rising tone on meeting as well as in later also, it sounds like a very clear and direct question. So you can try saying it quietly to yourself. This is a rising. We have as I'm not sure yet. Again, I'm not sure yet. So what do you think is the intonation pattern being used here? We're going to highlight sure. Ano, yeah, sure and yet. We're going to highlight these two words. But most likely it's more on yet. So let's just try that. Okay? On sure also. Okay, I'm not sure yet. Falling intonation. Okay, the word sure is most likely the main highlight for this, but I just included yet. No, but here the word sure is highlighted more. And the intonation, again, the intonation pattern is falling. This is interesting because have falling intonations. The word a clear falling intonation suggests a definite answer. Even if the answer is I don't know, it indicates that a falling tone here make it sound conclusive, basically. Okay, so this is again a falling intonation. So we've already had right one. We have here person A then replied, why not? Very simple. Again, why not? Now, intonation pattern do you think? Is it rising intonation, falling intonation, rise fall intonation, or fall rise intonation? What do you think? Why not? Shows what? It shows a rise fall intonation. All right, good. Now here, previous discussions like who, what, intonation, right? Expressing a little surprise intonation can be used. Okay? This means that your voice goes up on why and then falls on not. So the initial natural conclusion. Or following that, person have another appointment. But they have another appointment. Then if you guessed it's fall rise, be quiet. Then if you guessed it's fall rise, be quiet. Have or take example of how certainty it often indicates hesitation or conveys that they answers. It leaves basically a little bit of openness. It suggests that this is a reason, but it is not absolute. Okay, let's have the next one. Next line. Oh, well, just let me know. Person A. Person A replied with that at the last part of the sentence. Oh, well, just let me know. This is what light request or statements that convey finality. After understanding person B's situation, person A is giving a clear instruction or request. The following intonation makes it sound firm but still polite. No, it indicates that the speaker has conveyed their message and then expects a clear understanding. So it sounds conclusive, like, okay, I understand, just inform me later. No, that's basically the message here. Okay, and finally we have person B, which where let's just say she concluded with okay, thanks. Okay, thanks. Very, very simple. What do you think is the intonation pattern here? I think it's very obvious that it's falling intonation, right? And both okay, because both okay and thanks, it typically uses falling intonation, which is what's indicated here. So this is very natural for short, polite responses that signal the end of a turn or maybe a simple acknowledgement. So the falling tone, it conveys, completion and sincerity. It sounds like a polite wrap up to their part of the conversation. Okay? So this is the first dialogue. Now to quickly sum up what we just discussed about this dialogue. For person A's first question, are you coming to the meeting later? A rising intonation is typically a yes or no question, which clearly, asking for information. Person's B response, I'm not sure yet. which uses a falling intonation. It signals a completed statement even with uncertainty. When person A asks, why not, a rise fall pattern can show a little curiosity or concern, which, adds more emotion than a simple falling tone. Person B's, I might just have, I might have another appointment, which often uses a full rise intonation to convey hesitation or a possibility. They're showing that it's not a definite reason. Okay, person A's, just let me know. It uses a falling intonation, which is um which is for a clear, polite request or instruction. And finally, we have person B's, okay, thanks. It uses a falling intonation, which is common for polite and conclusive statements. In short, these patterns show us how much information and feeling our voices carry beyond just the words that we speak. Okay? All right. Let's continue to have the next dialogue. Oh no. Let's continue with the next dialogue. All right. Again, I'm going to read the entire dialogue for you line by line. As I read, please listen carefully to the words and to the flow of the conversation. Okay? Here's the dialogue. Do you like the presentation? Well, it was good, but what? I think it was a bit too long. Oh, I didn't notice. Maybe it's just me. Okay. Now that we've read through the whole conversation, let's go back and dissect each line in detail. We'll look at the suggested intonation for each part and truly understand the nuances or the differences it adds to the meaning. All right, let's begin with the first line. Do you like the presentation? What do you think is the intonation pattern here? So I'm gonna highlight presentation. Do you like the presentation? This is what? This is this is basically a rising intonation. All right. This is, an intonation for this question is marked as rising. This is a fundamental pattern in English, especially for what we call yes or no questions. I've already mentioned it earlier, right? Questions that can be answered with simple yes or no. When your voice reaches or it rises in pitch at the end of such a question, it acts as a clear signal to the listener that you are indeed asking for information and expect a direct short answer. So it you can just, imagine saying this out loud. Like, did you like the presentation? No? Your voice, it lifts up. It lifts as you say the last word, and it feels like you're leaving a vocal hook for the listener to hang their yes or no answer. So this rising intonation, it makes the it makes the question sound open. It makes the how do you call that? It makes the listener to um it makes the question sound polite. Basically, it makes the question sound polite and directly invites a response from the listener. Okay? So that's that. Without this rising tone, everyone, it might sound more like a statement or even a bit abrupt. No? It's the vocal equivalent for question mark basically. This pattern, it helps us to what? It helps us to avoid any confusion about whether you're making a statement or asking for information, which makes your communication much clearer and more natural to a native English speaker. Okay? Moving on to person B's reply, which holds a bit of surprise. Well, it was good, but here the suggested intonation is what? What do you think is the intonation used here? Again, what is the intonation used here? This is clearly a full rise intonation. All right, so that's the intonation pattern that we are using here. This is more complex, but it's incredibly expressive, expressive type of intonation pattern. It means that Your voice, again, it first falls in pitch and then rises again, which often on the keyword or near the end of the phrase. In this context, person B is starting with a positive comment. It was good, but the immediate but, no, the word but, it tells us that there is a reservation or a qualification coming. The voice might fall on good, as if completing that initial positive thought, but then subtly rise again, signaling that the thought is not truly finished or that there's a hidden implication. So this fall rise conveys a sense of hesitation, a partial, not complete yet agreement, or that the speaker is about to add a contrasting point. It's like saying yes to some extent, I agree, it was good. However, okay, there's however there. However, there's something else I need to mention. So this intonation adds a layer of politeness to the coming criticism, which softens the blow and prepare the listener for the upcoming negative feedback. It tells us that the speaker is being thoughtful and not fully committing to just the positive part of the statement. Okay? So that's on the second line. Now let's analyze person A's reaction to that hesitant response, which is very simple. But what? Again, but what? But what? Again, but what? Now, what do you think is it suggesting? What kind of intonation pattern is used in this line? But what? Again, but what? It's suggesting what? It is a rise fall intonation. So it's another, combination pattern. So it is a very example of how intonation conveys emotion and as well as urgency, if I may say. A rise fall pattern means the voice quickly rises in pitch and then, it falls sharply. While many WH questions, as I mentioned earlier, like who, what, where, why, and even how, it typically uses a falling intonation for straightforward inquiries. This specific rise fall here adds a strong emotional, elements, nuances, differences. It often indicates surprise, belief, disbelief, frustration, or a strong, eager demand for clarification. So, person A is not just asking what, they're asking what with a clear expectation for more details due to person B's earlier hesitation. So the voice goes up sharply on but and then falls decisively on what, which expresses a powerful desire to know the rest of the story. So it communicates, I'm surprised by your hesitation. You need to tell me what the problem is right now. There's urgency there. Okay, this makes the question much more emphatic and shows that person A is genuinely intrigued or perhaps slightly annoyed by the incomplete answer. Okay, let's look at person B's direct explanation here. All right, I think it was a bit too long. I think it was a bit too long. For this statement, the intonation is what? Intonation pattern is what? It's very simple. I think it was a bit too long. This is a falling intonation. This is again a falling intonation. No? Very simple. This is perhaps the most common intonation pattern for declarative sentences. The sentences that state a fact, give an opinion, or convey information definitively. It's like they're certain. So when your voice falls in pitch at the end of a sentence like this, it signals that you have completed your thought and that your statement is final, it's conclusive. So person B is delivering their specific criticism directly. They're just trying to mean, I think it was a bit too long. So the voice drops on long, indicating certainty and conviction in their opinion. So this falling tone makes the statement sound firm and clear. And it leaves no room for ambiguity about, or for, ambiguity. Let's say ambiguity is something that is not clear, that is vague, that is blurry. So this statement doesn't want that. We want to be clear about our view. So it communicates, basically, it's just like saying, this is my definite opinion on the matter. This is my certain opinion on this matter. And I'm finished expressing it. Okay? It sounds like a confident and straightforward assertion. All right. Next, let's consider the person A's reaction to this specific feedback. Oh, I didn't notice. Again, oh, I didn't notice. This is what? This is another falling intonation pattern. So, this is another statement, but it's a statement of realization or an observation about one's own experience. The following intonation here, it signifies, it means completion and sincerity. When person A says, "Oh, I didn't notice," with the falling tone, it conveys a straightforward acceptance of person B's feedback or a genuine admission, or admission that they hadn't observed the same thing. They genuinely says or admit that they did not, or they weren't able to notice the same mistake. So it makes the statement sound natural and final, which implies that that's interesting, that wasn't something I picked up on. So it doesn't invite further discussion in the matter from person A's side, but rather states a simple fact about their perspective. This solid falling tone indicates a clear and a simple declaration of their personal experience. Okay? Finally, let's break down person B's concluding thought. Maybe it's just me. Again, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. Once more, maybe it's just me. Now, here, the falling, or not the falling, the intonation pattern utilized is what, or used is what? What kind of intonation pattern do you think is used here? This is what? This is a combination pattern, everyone. So which of the two do you think is it using? Is it fall rise or rise fall intonation pattern? This is what? This is a fall rise intonation pattern, meaning that it's suggested for this, final line. This pattern is particularly powerful here as it adds a touch of humility, it adds a touch of uncertainty, or perhaps an invitation for agreement or disagreement. So when person B says, "Maybe it's just me," with a universally, with a full rise intonation, they are suggesting that their opinion might be subjective. Okay, their voice would fall on the word "just" and then rise slightly on "me." So this rise leaves the statement open, implying that this is how I feel, but I'm not entirely sure, and maybe you don't agree. So it softens the previous criticism about the presentation's length, making it sound like an absolute judgment and more like a personal observation. It shows that person B is open to other perspectives and is not trying to impose their own opinion strongly. So this subtle intonation makes the speaker sound modest and thoughtful, which invites a gentle close to the conversation rather than a firm, unyielding conclusion. Okay? So that is for the last line. Again, this is a fall rise intonation pattern. Now, in summary, this dialogue provides a rich, landscape, rich look into understanding how intonation significantly enriches spoken English. Okay, so this is the answers here. Did you like the presentation? The first line is showing a rising intonation. For this reply, first reply, it was good, but that's a fall rise intonation, which is the same with the last line. Maybe it's just me. That's also a fall rise intonation. Now, the flip side, rise fall, is shown in the third line. But what? Again, but what? And then for both falling intonation for the following lines. I think it was a bit too long, and oh, I didn't notice. Okay, so that is for the second dialogue about thoughts on the context, thoughts about presentation. Let's have the next one, which is our dialogue is on ordering food. So this is a situation almost all of us find ourselves in regularly. Talking to someone in a restaurant, maybe a waiter or a waitress to get our meal. It's a very common and practical situation, and understanding how our voice moves here is super helpful for clear communication. We'll be focusing on how people ask questions, make polite requests, I am so sorry for that. Let me continue. Again, it's common for, polite requests, as I've mentioned, or maybe just giving information when ordering. So this is common. So just like before, we are going to pretend that all the Indonesian notes are completely empty for now. So I read the whole conversation first from beginning to end. But for a moment, let me just, do something. Or let me just go away quickly. I am so sorry. I don't know if it's obvious, no, with my voice, but I'm just a little bit sick. But I can go on. It's just that my nose, it sometimes needs some unclogging or something like that. So that's why I have to pause sometimes. Okay? All right. To continue, I'm gonna read the whole dialogue first. Could I have the menu, please? Of course, hurry, here you go. Do you have any specials today? Yes, we have grilled salmon. That sounds good. Would you like anything to drink? All right. Now that we have heard the whole conversation, let's take it line by line. For each sentence, I want you to think if you were saying this, how would your voice move? Would it go up, down, or perhaps do a mix? What does that voice sound tell us what that person means? You can type your best guesses into the chat. Let's start with the very first line. Could I have that menu, please? What do you think about this polite request? If you were person A asking for the menu, how would your voice change on the word menu? And at the very end of the sentence, please, would it go up, go down, stay flat, a combination? You think about what kind of answer person A is hoping for here. What would sound most polite and clear? Type your guesses into the chat, everyone. Let me just give you like a 10 second, 10 seconds to give your answer. All right, 10 seconds out. What do you think is the answer? This is what? This is using what? A rising intonation pattern. Oh my god. For a moment. Because it's not working. Oh, I've written it on the wrong part of the text. Let me do it again for now. This is a rising intonation pattern. No, it's using rising intonation pattern. Now, let's think deeply about why this rising voice is so important here. This is a very common way to make a polite request or ask a general question, right? So it can often be answered with a simple yes or no. So when your voice goes down or goes up, at the very end of a sentence like this, it acts as a very clear and polite signal to the person listening. It shows you are asking for something, but in a soft, welcoming way, not a strong demand. Imagine saying this without your voice going up. Could I have that menu, please? Could I have that menu, please? It might sound less friendly or even a bit bossy, right? The rising voice gives that key sound clue that tells the other person you're asking nicely and waiting for their help. It makes the request sound open, friendly, and directly asks for their service. So this pattern is very, basic for making your meaning clear in a polite way and helping smooth talks in service situations. It avoids basically any confusion about whether you're ordering or truly asking for something, which makes your communication much clearer and more natural to a native English speaker. Sorry. Especially in places like a restaurant. Okay? Moving on to person B's quick and helpful reply. Of course, here you go. Again, of course, here you go. Now, for this line, person B is giving a friendly and quick response. How would their voice move on chorus and then on go? Would it mostly rise, mostly fall, or perhaps a combination? What kind of feeling would this voice pattern show about their readiness to help? Share your ideas in the chat, everyone. This is what kind of not combination, it is What kind of intonation pattern is used? This is what? This is a rise fall intonation pattern. So it's basically a combination. Now let's break down how this rise fall voice pattern works in this friendly reply. Now, this pattern, where your voice quickly goes up and then drops down sharply, it's very useful for showing enthusiasm, for showing eagerness, or a clear and helpful offering. When person B says, of course, their voice rises on course to show the ready agreement and helpfulness, then falls quickly to show a clear statement, and then for where for here you go, the voice again rises on go to show they're actively giving something, and then false again to mark the completion of that action and statements. It's like they are saying, absolutely, I'm happy to help, and here it is. So the rise fall pattern adds a feeling of warmth, efficiency to answer. It sounds very natural for someone who is ready to serve and finish the action of giving the menu. It tells us that the speaker is being very clear and very helpful, which makes the talk smooth and pleasant. Pleasant, sorry. It makes the talk smooth and pleasant. So that's for the second line. Next, let's look at the person's A's next question. Did you have any specials today? All right. Person A is asking about daily specials. How would their voice sounds on specials? And at the very end of the sentence, today. Would it mostly rise, mostly fall, or a mix? Think about what kind of answer person A is expecting here. What would sound most natural for asking about new options? Okay? Type in your best guesses into the chat. All right. Great guesses, everyone. This is what? This is a rising intonation pattern. Now, let's understand why this rising voice is so important here. This is another typical yes or no question where person A is asking if there are any specials, expecting a yes or no answer, possibly followed by details. So just like asking for the menu, when your voice rises in pitch at the end of such question, it acts as a clear and polite signal to the listener that you are indeed asking for information. Now imagine saying this without your voice going up. Do you have any specials today? Do you have any specials today? It might sound less like a polite inquiry and more like a demand or statement, which it directly provides the essential sound clue here, the rising intonation, which creates an open and inviting tone that asks for information. It makes the question sound natural, sound friendly, and eager for a response. So, this pattern is fundamental for making your meaning clear in a polite way, especially when exploring options or asking about availability, ensuring the conversation flows smoothly without any misunderstanding about your intent. Okay? All right. Next line. Yes, we have grilled salmon. Now, person B is given clear information. How would their voice sound at the end of salmon? Would it be rising? Would it be falling? Flat? What does this voice pattern tells us about how sure they are and if their thoughts is finished? Okay, think about what it means to give a different piece of information. Share your thoughts in the chat, everyone. What kind of intonation pattern is used here? This is what? This is, obviously, this is a rising, not rising, falling intonation pattern. Okay? All right. Now, yes, we have grilled salmon. That's the sentence. Yes, we have grilled salmon. The voice pattern here, as I've mentioned, is falling. Let's talk about why this falling voice is pattern is so important. Here, this is a very common voice for pattern for telling facts, sentences that state something clearly, give definite information, or confirm something. When your voice goes down in pitch towards the end of a statement like this, it shows a few things. First, that you have finished your thought. Second, what in that way you are certain you're saying What you're saying is certain and true. And third, that you are not asking a question or looking for more details about that specific point. Person B is giving them direct, you know, information. Yes, we have grilled salmon. The voice drops in salmon, which gives a feeling of being final and sure in their statement. This falling voice makes the information sound clear, definite, and leaves no doubt about what they're offering. It's like saying, "This is what we have," and I'm not finished, or "I'm finished telling you about it." No, it finishes the piece of information well, allowing person A to make their choices. Okay? Next, let's think about person A's reaction to the special. That's good. Again, that's good. I think it's very clear, right? The intonation pattern used here is very obvious. This is what? This is using a falling intonation pattern. No? This is again showing a falling intonation pattern. Now let's explain why this falling voice pattern works so well. Here, this is another clear statement showing agreement, showing decision, or simply liking something. When person A says, "That sounds good," with a falling voice, it sounds a straightforward and sincere acceptance of or approval. Okay? The voice drops on good, indicating that their thought is complete and that they are satisfied with the option. Okay? All right. So this voice pattern means that person A has heard the suggestion, liked it, and is simply stating their preference or agreement. It doesn't invite further questioning or debate from person A's side regarding the specific point, but rather, it just, expresses a clear and settled decision. It sounds natural and full, like, "Yes, I like that choice." The solid falling voice shows a clear and simple statement of their preference, signaling that they are already, you know, all ready to move on. Okay? This is the final line from my boss. "Would you like anything to drink? Would you like anything to drink?" Again, "Would you like anything to drink?" Okay. Now, what do you think is the intonation pattern here? With this closing line, how would person B's voice sound on drink and at the very end of the sentence? Is it rising, falling, a combination maybe? So what kind of question is and what does the voice pattern tells us about how they're, you know, uh signaling, or let's just say, what do you think? They are, just giving their message to each other. All right? Okay. So share your guesses, everyone. What do you think is intonation pattern here? This is what? This is obviously a rising intonation pattern. So there's no there's one combination here in the whole dialogue. So would you like anything to drink? Let's dive into rich meaning with rising voice pattern gives us here. This is another type of yes or no question. Now, I've already mentioned this a lot of times. When your voice rises at the end of this kind of question, it makes the offer sound very polite, very open, and inviting. You can imagine saying it without a rise. Would you like anything to drink? Or without the rise, I'm sorry. Would you like anything to drink? Would you like anything to drink? It might sound flat or less welcoming. The rising tone signals genuine politeness and that the server is waiting for a decision. It's like they're saying, "Is there anything else I can get for you to make your meal more complete?" So this voice pattern makes the office clear and friendly. No, which ensures the customer feels comfortable asking. It helps to keep the service interaction smooth and pleasant, which shows alternatives and good manners. Right? Okay. And that's the last line for our dialogue on ordering food. To quickly sum up this conversation about ordering food, we followed an exchange where one person was the customer and the other one was serving them. Okay? All right. The talk started with the customer making a polite request for the menu, using a voice that clearly showed they were asking nicely. The server responded with a very friendly and eager answers. It shows that they were happy to help right away. The customer sorry. The customer then asked about special making a polite offer to drink, which uses a voice that invited the customer to choose more terms. Okay. Throughout this talk, everyone, the way their voices went up and down helped make every question clear, every answer definite, and every offer polite. It shows how much the sound of our voice helps us manage everyday tasks like ordering food smoothly and pleasantly. Okay? All right. Let's move on to the next and the last one, I think. I believe this is the last um example, which is making weekend plans. This is a super, oh my god, I've already provided you the answer. Okay, I accidentally, I accidentally clicked on the next slide, but yes, that's we're just still going to discuss on these answers. Let's start with the first one, or let me just read the whole dialogue first. Are you free this Saturday? I'm not sure yet. We could go to the new cafe. I might be busy in the morning. How about the afternoon? Okay, that's better. All right, let's have the first line. Are you free this Saturday? Now here, it shows that this is using rising intonation pattern. Okay, so again, this is a yes or no question, and that when your voice goes up in a pitch at the very end of sentence like this, it acts a very clear and polite signal to the person listening. I am asking you for some information and I expect a direct answer about your availability. Okay? Imagine saying this without your voice going up. Are you free this Saturday? 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 Any kind of, intonation can be used. So it might sound less friendly or even a bit like you're just stating something rather than genuinely asking. Okay? All right. The rising voice gives that essential sound clue, like a vocal question mark that tells the listener to reply. It makes the question sound open, friendly, and directly asks the other person to join the talk or to give their ability. The pattern is very basic for making your meaning more clear and when inviting or asking about someone's schedule, helping and conversations flow smoothly and stopping any confusion about whether you're just asking or truly seeking an answer. It's truly the natural tune, for asking the information. Okay? This is again a rising intonation pattern. Next, I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure yet. Now, for this line, person B is giving a direct answer. Here, even though the person B is expressing uncertainty, which is not sure, they are stating that uncertainty is as a definite fact at this moment. When your voice goes down in pitch at the end of the sentence like this, it signals few important things. First, that you have finished your thought for now. Second, what you're saying is from, you know, what you're saying is a form of information, even if that information is about being unsure. And third, that you have not asked a question or looking for more details about a specific point. So person B is giving a clear status update. I'm not sure yet. The voice goes drop on down on yet, the word yet, giving a feeling finality to their client undecided state. This falling voice makes the statement sound very clear about my firm. This is my firm current status, and I've finished explaining it for you now. Okay, it finishes that piece of information well, letting the conversation move forward to figure out possible authors. Okay, next to that, we could go to the new cafe. We could go to the new cafe. Now, person A is making a question or a suggestion here, not a question, a suggestion. How would their voice sound at the end of cafe? I would it mostly rise, okay? All right. Okay. Now let's explore why this falling voice pertain um to how do you call that, to a falling intonation. So again, this is a declarative sentence, meaning it's a statement of an idea or a suggestion. So when your voice falls in pitch at the end of the statement, it signals that you have completed your thought and that your suggestion is clear and definite. So person A is offering a specific activity. We could go to the new cafe. The voice drops on cake, no, not cake, on cafe. Okay, it gives a sense of finality and clarity to the idea. While it's a suggestion, the falling tone makes it sound like a very, solid, not hot place. Okay, so this is well thought out option rather than a hesitant a demanding, a hesitant question. If communicated, here is my clear idea, take it or leave it, but in a polite way. Okay? This pattern helps to make the suggestion sound more confident and natural and easy to understand even. You're moving this pattern helps to make the suggestion sound perfect on, the first date. So this pattern helps to make the suggestion sound confident and easy to understand. Okay? Moving the conversation forward by providing a concrete plan on person B. Not person B, but the whole dialogue itself. Oh no. All right. So I might be busy this morning. Let's have the next. Not that next. I might be busy this morning. Now, person B is giving a reason why the cafe might, idea might not fully work. How could their voice sound on the word meaning? Would it be rising, falling, and mix? Again, this is rise, fall, rise. Okay, so um, again, there's a pattern. There's yes or no pattern here. Instead, it strongly suggests a reservation, a partial problem, or that there's more information to follow. So person B saying they might be busy, which already hints uncertainty. Their voice would fall on busy, stating the possibility of busyness, and then it rises slightly in morning, leaving the door open. It's like saying I might have a problem during this time, and perhaps other times are okay. So this forward pattern prepares a listener for a negotiation, for an alternative, alternative situations. So it softens the busy part, making sound less a careful word, more careful words. So you are not giving a full note to the entire day. It suggests that we are mourning is an issue, okay? Because I'm just at home. That's where my work is. But yeah, an issue. The speaker is still open to finding a time, which is crucial for making plans successfully. Right? All right. Next to that is the second to the last sentence. How about in the afternoon? Again, how about in the afternoons? It showcase rising intonation, right? Okay, let's explain why. Now, even though how about often starts a suggestion when it's followed by a rising tone, it turns the suggestion into Apple question. Okay? That often expects yes or no answer, just a simple agreement about how in the how do you call that? How about in the afternoon, the voice lifts on afternoon, showing they are risking or they're asking for confirmation for acceptance of this new time. So this rising tone makes the offer sound friendly, open, and inviting to person B to agree or provide further input. It's not a demand. It's a flexible inquiry that adapts to the new information about person B's schedule. So, person A, this pattern helps to keep the negotiation of plans smooth and polite. So, signaling that person A is using. Okay? All right. So, finally, let's break down person B's concluding agreement. Okay, that's better. Again, okay, that's better. One more time. Okay, that's better. All right. Now, again, it's again the answer is already shown. This is using a falling intonation pattern. Okay, it's a definitive statement of agreement and relief. When your voice falls in pitch at the end of a statement, like this, it signals that you have finished your thought and that do you have this agreement? Your agreement is firm and final. So person B has found a time that works. Okay, that's better. So the voice drops clearly on better, giving a feeling of conclusion and satisfaction. So it's like saying, yes, this time works perfectly for me, and I am happy with this decision. So this falling tone makes the acceptance sound clear, definite, and leaves no doubt about their choice. It serves to close off this part of the conversation smoothly, indicating that the plans for the afternoon are now settled. It's a simple, straightforward way to show approval and agreement, moving the conversation towards confirming the new plan. Okay? All right. So, in summary, This dialogue began with person A making a friendly invitation for Saturday, using a voice that clearly showed they were asking question. Person B responded by stating their current uncertainty, but their voice gave a clear, direct answer about their unsure status. So when person A offered a specific activity, person B gave the reason why it might not fully work, which uses a voice that showed a small problem but also left the door open for the other times. Person A then used flexibility, not flexibility, flexibly or very convenient. Offered a new time, asking about it without question that would show they were still trying to find a good fit. Finally, person B clearly agreed to the new time, right? Using a voice that swallowed their decision was a firm, and that the new plan was good. Throughout this throughout this talk, the way their voices went up and down helped them successfully invite, respond, suggest, explain problems, offer new ideas, and finally agree on a plan. So it shows how the sound of our voice is vital for smoothly working together to make social agreements. Okay? All right. So that's that for this dialogue. Again, this is oh, right. Yeah. Okay. This is its intonation patterns. All right. Okay. Okay, that's better. Again. Okay, that's better. All right. So that is for what? That is for that is for today. Okay. Again, I've mentioned this is the last sentence because time would not permit us to continue, but there's more sentences actually. We can try to continue our practice session tomorrow. Okay? So this is all for today, everyone. Um uh for today, we've already what we did is we had a practice session, a second practice session for intonation. Okay? So that's what we did today. So that brings us basically to the end of our intonation practice session. Second practice session. We have worked through so many different everyday conversations, from ordering food, making weekend plans, to, complaining about the weather, even. So I hope that going through each line, guessing the voice pattern, and then really digging into why the voice moves that way has been helpful for you. It's truly amazing how just a little change in pitch, whether our voice goes up, down, or does a mix, it can completely change what we mean and how we sound to others. It makes our English more natural and helps us connect better with people. Okay? Remember, practicing these voice patterns will make your English sound more like a native, speakers, and it will help you understand how others better do. Okay? All right. So that is it for today's session, everyone. I thank you all so much for participating here in our practice time. This is for today. Thank you and have a great rest of the night ahead. Goodbye.